My name is Kamalle Dabboussy, and I'm very happy to be able to bring to you this series of mayoral candidate interviews for those that are running for the Mayor of Liverpool City Council. We would have liked to have been able to bring people together, but in the current environment, that's been difficult. So we're presenting these interviews based on questions the community have submitted to us in order that these candidates respond to your questions. We hope we find value in these interviews. Welcome to our mayoral candidate interviews. Today I have Councillor Peter Harle, who's running as a Liverpool independent mayoral candidate for the City of Liverpool. Councillor Peter has been, we've known him for some time, and we welcome him to the interview process. Councillor Peter, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
My name's Peter Harle. I've been a councillor now for 13 years. Lived in Liverpool since, would you believe, since 1954 as a young fella. And so I am interested in what happens in Liverpool, and hence being a councillor, I thought, no point complaining about Liverpool. You're better off being part of the solution rather than part of the problem. Hence a councillor for 13 years.
Thank you very much, Councillor. During the Delta outbreak, many people in Liverpool felt that their voices were not heard and they were ignored as a community. As Mayor, what do you do to ensure that Liverpool and Liverpool residents have a voice and that their interests are being met?
Well, as the previous Mayor has done, she has tried to attempt at the state government to get a better response. And I think it really comes down to whether or not the state government responds to those sorts of, if you like, the sort of push that you try and get with the state government. In the end, if the state government doesn't respond, there's very little one can do other than embarrass them, and that's not my style. I would prefer that the cooperation of the state government is met and we can come to an amiable solution. I agree there were some issues, although I believe the Mayor did try to resolve those. It wasn't just Liverpool. In general, in the Western area, we were, I believe, not treated as well as we could have been.
Thank you very much. Okay. Liverpool has limited community infrastructure in the CBD of Liverpool, and these are really important meeting spaces for communities to be able to build social cohesion, build a harmonious, vibrant city. As Mayor, what can you do to ensure facilities and access to facilities for both established and emerging communities in Liverpool?
That is an issue and has been an issue for some time. And Council has built, or is in the process of building, the Civic Centre. And the new Civic Centre will have additional facilities to cater for those. But in the end, it isn't really the Mayor that does this. It is the Council, the Community Services section within Council that looks at that and puts recommendations to Council. And the Council, the governing body, obviously, makes that decision. And of course, I would support all those recommendations that would say what we needed in the CBD. And that is an ongoing process. And as has happened with the Civic Centre, that's going to be a centre that will be able to cater for some of that. Not all of it, some of it. But again, finances is a big issue.
Sure. Thank you very much. The Georges River is an important meeting place for all communities. We can speak of Indigenous communities right through to our more recent arrivals, the Mandaean community. What can we do to ensure clean water is available for those communities, and that actually there is a place for communities to be able to meet and enjoy that river from?
That issue has come up several times at Council, and we have looked at it. And unfortunately, the river is not in a very good state to allow that to happen. And so consequently, previous council meetings where we've discussed this, we've looked at several options, and probably one of the few ways of doing that is to install a fairly expensive water cleaning plant that will do that. And then the other issue is the council doesn't own the river. The river is owned by the state government, and there are issues there. And it has been a major issue to try and clean up the water, if you like. And, at the moment, we know that it's not even suitable for swimming. And that is a sad state. But it's not just Liverpool, it's upstream all the way to Appin and then downstream all the way to Botany Bay. So it is a big issue. How you can solve that, money only, and it needs the cooperation of both state and federal governments to come up with a solution. Hopefully that will happen. And that's all we can really do is lobby the government to do that.
Would you be in a position to champion that work, Peter?
We certainly have, and I think council as a whole has actually done that.
Thank you. We have in Liverpool various community groups and those different languages. Some of those communities have been hard to reach communities. And we use the example of the Fijian community, which in themselves is not a homogenous group. There have been groups within the Fijian community that have been hard to reach. Well, how can we engage those hard to reach communities to ensure that we have an equitable and harmonious society?
Yes, and I understand we have had some issues with that, and council's multicultural department, they would be looking at that and trying to improve that. And obviously those recommendations come to council, and then councillors will be looking at that and will be debating the best possible way forward. But in the end, it's the multicultural section of council that does that. So we're relying on expert information to make recommendations that we then hopefully follow. I'm a migrant myself. My parents came out here, as I say, in 1954. So I understand the issues and some of the problems that migrants face. And it's not an easy thing. And this is why obviously state governments and federal governments help. But wherever council can do that as well, that's something we will try and do. And as a mayor, I would certainly support those sorts of efforts to do that.
Thank you. Okay. Peter, Liverpool also aspire to have a vibrant city where families can come and meet, where we've got a nightlife. They use Parramatta as an example of a city that's open at all hours. What can we do to bring this vibrancy to Liverpool, to make a Liverpool city outside of business hours?
Well, we've actually tried that, but because of COVID-19, obviously we weren't able to do much more. But we had Eat Street functions at night time, and previously we had such things as Starry Night. I think you may remember all of those.
Yes.
Council has attempted to do these things. Some have been successful, some have not, but council keeps trying these, and we will try and do more once this COVID-19 pandemic has disappeared. Hopefully that will make an impact, and then we can do more of what we tried before.
Thank you. Western Sydney MRC is an organisation that's community-based and is a place-based organisation embedded within the community. The people that we work with expect service from us, and they expect us to also represent them in their needs and their aspirations as well. How could you work as mayor to help meet that community need and aspiration?
Again, that's rather a difficult question because there are limitations on what council can do. The mayor does his best to get his, the councillors together as a team to work towards improving those issues. And these are, again, the multicultural division within council would have to provide advice on how best to do that. I'm not an expert, and I don't think any of the councillors are or will be. And so we will try. We need to work with the MRC, obviously. Liverpool being an example of one of the best multicultural councils in the state. So I would certainly support that and try and improve that wherever possible.
Luke, thank you very much.
What we're asking for is that you just vote for Mayor. Number 4 is the box, rather. Vote number 1 for Peter Harle as the Mayor. And in our Group C, there is also a 1 above the line for Group C. And that's our team that we would like, independent team that we would like to get elected to council.
Western Sydney MRC, powered by community.